A simple woman in a small Cessna enters restricted military airspace. 3 fighter jets scramble to intercept her. The lead pilot demands identification, ready to force her down. But when she speaks, everything changes. She knows things no civilian should know. Her authentication code belongs to someone everyone believes is dead. The ghost has returned. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. 3 F-22 Raptors cut through the morning sky like silver bullets, their engines screaming at 28,000 feet. Inside the lead aircraft, Captain Jake Mitchell checks his radar screen and frowns. A small civilian plane is flying directly through restricted military airspace. Lightning 1 to unidentified aircraft. You are in restricted airspace. State your identity immediately. His voice carries the sharp edge of authority. He is young, confident, and has never been challenged in the sky. His 2 wingmen fly close behind him, ready for action. Captain Mitchell is known on base as the best of the best. At 29 years old, he has more flying hours than most pilots 10 years older. His record is spotless. His confidence is unshakable. The radio crackles. Then a woman's voice responds, calm and steady. November 5-7-3 Bravo. Private aircraft on medical supply run. Requesting permission to continue on current heading. Captain Mitchell rolls his eyes. Another civilian pilot who doesn't understand the rules. His wingman, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, keeps her position tight on his right wing. On his left, Lieutenant Marcus Webb maintains perfect formation. They are a well-oiled machine, the pride of their squadron. Negative, 5-7-3 Bravo. You will turn around immediately or we will escort you down. This is not a request. The small Cessna doesn't change course. It continues flying straight ahead, steady as a rock. Mitchell can see it now through his canopy. A tiny single-engine plane, probably 30 years old, flying through their training airspace like it owns the sky. Mitchell's frustration grows. He has important training exercises to complete. He doesn't have time for this nonsense. Ma'am, I don't think you understand the situation. You are in military airspace. We have authorization to force you down. This is your final warning. The woman's voice returns, still calm, with no hint of fear or concern. Captain Mitchell, I understand perfectly. I also understand you're flying in delta formation with your wingmen 200 feet off your wings. I suggest you check the weather report for this sector before you threaten me. Mitchell's blood runs cold. How does she know his name? How does she know their formation? His name isn't broadcast on the radio. The formation pattern is military standard, but how would a civilian know the specific distance? He glances at his radar, then at the weather data. His eyes widen. A massive storm system is building directly ahead. Wind shear warnings are starting to flash on his screen. He was so focused on the civilian aircraft that he missed it completely. The weather system is huge, spanning 50 miles across. Rotation patterns indicate severe turbulence and dangerous wind conditions. If they continue on their current course, they will fly directly into conditions that could tear even an F-22 apart. Who is this? He demands, his confidence shaking for the first time. Someone who knows these skies better than you do, Captain. Now, if you want to live through the next 10 minutes, I suggest you follow my instructions exactly. Mitchell's wingman, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, breaks in on the radio. Sir, she's right about the weather. We need to change course now. These readings are extreme. Lieutenant Webb adds his concern. Captain, I'm seeing rotation patterns forming. This storm is building fast. Faster than normal. But Mitchell's pride is wounded. A civilian woman is telling him how to fly. Him. The best pilot in his squadron. The man who has never made a mistake in the air. Impossible. Ma'am, I don't know who you think you are, but I have over 2,000 flight hours in the F-22. I think I can handle a little weather. The woman's voice cuts through like a knife, sharp and commanding in a way that makes him sit up straighter without thinking. Authentication code, Ghost 79er. Check it. Mitchell's hands freeze on the controls. Ghost 79er. That code hasn't been active for 15 years. It belonged to the most legendary pilot in modern military history. A pilot who supposedly died in a classified mission overseas. His mind races back to flight school, to the stories his instructors told late at night. Stories about a pilot so skilled, so fearless, that she became a legend. A pilot who flew missions that officially never happened. A pilot who saved hundreds of lives and never lost a single person under her command. Until the day she did. That's impossible, Mitchell whispers. Check it, the woman repeats, her voice hard as steel. And while you're wasting time, that storm is about to tear your wings off. You have maybe 3 minutes before conditions become fatal. Mitchell's hands shake slightly as he switches frequencies. Lightning 1 to base. Need immediate authentication check on code Ghost 79er. Priority urgent. There's a pause. Then the voice of the base commander himself comes on the line. Say again, Lightning 1. Sir, I need authentication on code Ghost 79er. Civilian aircraft is claiming authority under that code. The silence that follows is deafening. Mitchell can hear voices in the background, urgent and shocked. Then the commander returns. Captain Mitchell, that code is registered to Colonel Rebecca Stone. But that's classified information. Where did you encounter this code? Sir, a civilian pilot just used it. She's flying a Cessna in our training sector. Another pause. When the commander speaks again, his voice is different. Respectful. Almost reverent. Captain, that code is authentic. It was issued to Colonel Rebecca Stone in 1998. She was declared killed in action in 2009 during a classified rescue operation in Syria. If someone is using that code, and it's authenticating, you need to listen to whatever they tell you. Mitchell feels the world tilt beneath him. Rebecca Stone. The Ghost. The first woman to fly combat missions in the most dangerous war zones. The pilot with 200 confirmed missions and 0 failures. The legend who vanished after a mission went wrong. The stories about her were incredible. She flew missions that should have been impossible. She rescued soldiers from situations where no one else would go. She could navigate through storms, through enemy fire, through conditions that would kill anyone else. His instructor at flight school, a grizzled veteran with 30 years of experience, had tears in his eyes when he talked about her. I flew with the Ghost once, he said. Just once. She saved my life and the lives of my entire squadron. I've never seen anyone fly like that. Before or since. Colonel Stone. Mitchell's voice shakes slightly. But you're supposed to be dead? The woman's voice carries a bitter edge. I was. The person I used to be died that day. Now I'm just Rebecca. And you have about 2 minutes before that wind shear kills all 3 of you. Are you going to listen, or are you going to let pride kill you? Mitchell makes a split-second decision. Pride or survival? He chooses survival. What do we do, Colonel? Rebecca's voice becomes crisp and professional, carrying the weight of thousands of hours of combat experience. Lightning 1, reduce speed to 250 knots immediately. Descend to 15,000 feet, rate of 2,000 feet per minute. Lightning 2, brake left and follow heading 270. Lightning 3, brake right, heading 090. Execute now. The 3 fighter pilots respond instantly. Years of training take over. They follow her instructions without question, without hesitation. Just as they break formation, the wind shear hits. The air where they were flying explodes into violent turbulence. Mitchell's instruments go crazy. His aircraft shudders as invisible walls of wind slam against it from every direction. If they had stayed on course, if they had remained in formation, they would have been torn apart. All three aircraft would have collided or been ripped to pieces by the conflicting wind currents. Mitchell fights his controls as his F-22 drops like a stone. His training screams at him to pull up, to fight the descent, to regain altitude immediately. Every instinct tells him to climb. But Rebecca's voice cuts through the panic, calm and steady as a rock. Don't fight it, Captain. Let her fall. You need speed to punch through the turbulence. Trust the aircraft. Trust me. Mitchell forces himself to push the nose down instead of pulling up. It goes against everything his body is telling him to do. His altimeter spins wildly. 14,000 feet. 13,000, 12,000. The ground is rushing up to meet him. Colonel, I'm losing too much altitude. His voice rises with panic. Trust me, Captain. 3 more seconds. Let her build speed. 11,000 feet. 10,500, Mitchell's knuckles are white on the stick. Every fiber of his being screams at him to pull up now. Now, Captain. Pull up smoothly. Don't jerk the stick. Steady pressure. Mitchell pulls back gently, fighting the urge to haul back on the controls. The F-22 responds beautifully, her nose coming up, the speed converting into lift. The aircraft levels out at 10,800 feet, shaking but intact. His heart pounds in his chest like a drum. Sweat pours down his face inside his helmet. He just survived something that should have killed him. Lightning 2 and 3, report status, he manages to say, his voice hoarse. Lieutenant Chen's voice comes back shaky but alive. Lightning 2 is stable. That was close, sir. Lieutenant Webb sounds worse. Lightning 3 reporting. I thought I was dead. I thought we were all dead. Mitchell takes a shaky breath, trying to steady himself. Colonel Stone, thank you. You saved our lives. Just doing what any pilot should do, Captain. Now, I need to continue my flight. People are waiting for medicine that's already late because of this delay. Mitchell looks at his radar. The small Cessna is still flying calmly through a gap in the storm system. A gap he never would have seen. A gap that shouldn't exist according to his weather radar. But she knew. She saw it. She flew straight to it like she had a map of the invisible sky. Colonel, please. Let us escort you to your destination. It's the least we can do. You saved 3 lives today. 3 families who won't get a knock on their door tonight. There's a pause. When Rebecca speaks again, her voice is softer. That's not necessary, Captain. With respect, ma'am, it is. You saved our lives. 3 crews, 3 families, countless missions will fly in the future. We owe you everything. Another pause. Mitchell can almost hear her thinking, weighing the options. Fine. But stay at a distance. I don't need a parade. I don't need recognition. I just need to deliver this medicine. The 3 F-22s form up around her small aircraft, keeping a respectful distance. They maintain a protective formation, 3 of the world's most advanced fighter jets escorting a single-engine Cessna that's probably older than all 3 pilots combined. As they fly, Mitchell can't help but study her flying. The way the small plane moves through the air is extraordinary. Every movement is precise. She doesn't waste energy. She doesn't fight the wind. She works with it, using the natural currents to her advantage. It's the most beautiful flying he's ever seen. Colonel Stone, Mitchell says carefully. If you don't mind me asking, what happened? Everyone thinks you died 15 years ago. There's a memorial plaque with your name on it at the Air Force Academy. Rebecca's voice is quiet when she responds. I did die, Captain. The person I was died that day. The person who thought she was invincible. The person who thought skill could overcome any obstacle. That person needed to die. But you're a legend. You could be teaching at the Air Force Academy. You could be a general by now. You could be running entire training programs. Legends aren't real, Captain. They're just stories people tell. They're myths built on partial truths and exaggerations. The truth is much simpler and much more painful. Mitchell wants to push, wants to know more, but something in her tone stops him. The pain in her voice is raw, even after 15 years. Lieutenant Chen's voice comes over the radio instead, gentle and respectful. Ma'am, my father flew with you in Iraq. Captain David Chen, 74th Fighter Squadron. He always said you were the best pilot he ever saw. He said you saved his life twice in 1 week. There's a long silence. When Rebecca speaks again, her voice carries the weight of memory and loss. David Chen. I remember him. Good pilot. Strong heart. Steady hands. He had a daughter back home. Used to carry her picture in his flight suit. Is he well? Chen's voice wavers slightly. He retired 5 years ago, ma'am. He still talks about you. About the mission where you flew through a sandstorm to extract wounded soldiers from a crashed helicopter. Command said it was impossible. The sandstorm was too thick. Visibility was 0. But you went anyway. It was my job, Rebecca says simply. Those soldiers needed help. That's all that mattered. It was more than that, ma'am, Chen insists. Those soldiers had families. Children. Wives and husbands waiting for them to come home. You gave them their loved ones back. My father said he watched you fly that mission. He said you navigated purely by instruments and instinct. He said it was like watching an artist paint. Your father is kind. The truth is I was terrified the entire time. I just didn't let it stop me. Lieutenant Webb speaks up for the first time. Ma'am, I studied your missions at the academy. The instructors used them as examples of perfect execution under pressure. The Tehran extraction. The Kabul rescue. The Syrian border operation. Every single one was textbook perfect. Except the last one, Rebecca says quietly. The one that mattered most. The radio falls silent. All 3 pilots feel the weight of her words. Mitchell takes a careful breath. Colonel Stone, can I ask you something personal? Go ahead, Captain. Why did you really leave? After everything you accomplished? After all the lives you saved? The radio is silent for a long moment. Mitchell thinks she won't answer. Then her voice returns, softer than before, filled with a grief that time hasn't healed. I left because I forgot what matters, Captain. I became so focused on being the best, on completing the mission, on never failing, that I stopped caring about the cost. And that mistake cost someone their life. Someone who trusted me. Someone who deserved better. Mitchell's throat tightens. The classified mission? The one in Syria? Yes. My wingman was a young pilot named Alex Rodriguez. 26 years old. Brilliant flyer. Brave beyond measure. He had been flying with me for 8 months. We were on a rescue mission deep in enemy territory. A special forces team was pinned down. They needed immediate extraction or they would all die. She pauses, and Mitchell can hear the pain in her silence, still sharp after 15 years. I saw a chance to complete the mission faster. A shortcut through a narrow canyon. It would save us 10 minutes. 10 minutes that could mean the difference between life and death for those soldiers on the ground. Alex warned me it was too dangerous. He said the canyon was too narrow, the turns too sharp. But I didn't listen. I thought I was good enough to make it work. I thought my skill could overcome the danger. What happened? Mitchell asks gently. The enemy was waiting. They knew that canyon was the only fast route to the extraction point. They had positioned anti-aircraft weapons on both sides. We flew right into their trap. Alex saw the threat before I did. He took the hit meant for my aircraft. His last words were, "Get them home, Ghost." He saved my life and the lives of the Special Forces team we were rescuing. But he didn't make it home to his family. Mitchell feels his chest tighten. He can picture it clearly. The narrow canyon. The surprise attack. A young pilot making the ultimate sacrifice. "I'm sorry, ma'am. That's terrible." After the mission, I testified against the brass who approved the mission plan. I told them the truth about what happened. That I ignored warnings. That I let my pride override my judgment. That Alex died because I thought I knew better. They didn't like that. Command doesn't like pilots who admit mistakes. They wanted a hero story. A clean narrative about a successful mission. Lieutenant Chen speaks quietly. What did they do? They offered me a choice: accept a medal for the successful rescue, stay quiet about the planning failures, and continue my career. Or face a court-martial for insubordination and publicly questioning command decisions. You chose neither, Lieutenant Webb says. I chose to disappear. Because Alex was right, and I was wrong. And no medal would change that. No career was worth pretending the mistake never happened. So I erased myself. Changed my name, changed my life. Started over as someone new. Just flying and trying to help people in a way that actually matters. The story settles over the three fighter pilots like a heavy blanket. Mitchell thinks about his own career. The times he pushed too hard. The times he ignored warnings because he thought he knew better. The times his pride almost got someone hurt. How do you live with it? He asks quietly. The guilt? The loss? Rebecca's answer is simple and devastating. You don't live with it, Captain. It lives with you. Every day. Every flight. Every decision. You just try to do better. You listen more. You help more. You remember that flying isn't about being the best or proving yourself. It's about getting people home safely. It's about using your skills to help others, not to feed your ego. They fly in silence for several minutes. Mitchell watches the small Cessna ahead of him, noting how smoothly it moves through the air. No wasted motion. No showing off. No unnecessary risks. Just pure, efficient, beautiful flying. Every turn is calculated. Every altitude change serves a purpose. She flies the way water flows downhill, taking the path of least resistance, working with nature instead of against it. Where are you delivering medicine today? He asks, breaking the silence. Small reservation hospital in Montana. Northern Cheyenne tribe. They don't get many supply flights. The big medical companies won't fly there because the landing strip is short and the terrain is difficult. The profit margin isn't high enough. So they go without, unless someone volunteers to make the run. How often do you fly there? 3 times a week. Sometimes more if they have an emergency. They need insulin, antibiotics, heart medication. Basic supplies that most people take for granted. Mitchell does the math in his head. 3 times a week, 52 weeks a year, for how many years? That's hundreds of flights. Thousands of hours. All done quietly, with no recognition, no awards, no glory. Just a woman and her plane, carrying medicine to people who desperately need it. That's incredible, ma'am. It's necessary, Captain. That's all. These people need help. I have a plane and the skills to help them. So I do. But don't you miss it? Lieutenant Webb asks. The military flying? The advanced aircraft? The missions? Rebecca considers this carefully. Sometimes I miss the camaraderie. The sense of purpose. Flying with people who understand what it means to trust someone with your life. But I don't miss the politics. I don't miss the ego. I don't miss measuring my worth by how many missions I completed or how many medals I earned. What do you measure it by now? Chen asks. By whether the medicine arrives on time. By whether a child gets the insulin they need. By whether a grandmother gets her heart medication. Those are the missions that matter. Those are the ones that let me sleep at night. They approach the Montana border. The mountains rise ahead of them, beautiful and dangerous. Rebecca's voice returns, all business. This is where we part ways, gentleman and lady. Thank you for the escort. You all fly well. But remember today. Remember that the sky doesn't care about your rank or your training or your pride. It only cares whether you respect it. Ma'am, wait, Mitchell says quickly. Can I ask one more question? Make it quick, Captain. I'm already behind schedule. If you could give one piece of advice to a young pilot, what would it be? Rebecca doesn't hesitate. Her answer comes immediately, born from years of experience and hard-won wisdom. Remember that every decision you make in the air affects someone on the ground. Every risk you take, every shortcut you consider, every time you let pride override judgment, someone pays the price. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your wingman. Maybe it's the people depending on you. Fly for them, not for yourself. Fly to get everyone home safely, not to prove how good you are. Simple words. But they hit Mitchell like a physical blow. In one sentence, she has summarized everything wrong with his approach to flying. Everything he needs to change. Thank you, Colonel. For everything. For saving our lives. For the lesson. For your honesty. Stay safe, lightning flight. Check your weather reports. Listen to your instruments. Trust your wingmen. And Captain? Yes, ma'am. That pride you carry. It will kill you if you let it. Learn from my mistake. Don't wait until someone dies to learn humility. The words hang in the air like a final judgment. I won't, ma'am. I promise. Good. Now get back to your base. Your commander is probably wondering where you are. The three F-22s break formation and turn back toward their base. Mitchell watches the small Cessna disappear into the distance, flying toward the mountains and the reservation hospital beyond. Carrying medicine that will save lives. Flown by a woman who gave up everything to do what matters. As they fly home, Lieutenant Chen speaks softly. Sir, what do we tell command? About who we met? About Colonel Stone? Mitchell thinks carefully. The woman who saved their lives wants to be left alone. She gave up glory and recognition. She chose a quiet life of service over fame and medals. Who is he to take that away from her? We tell them we encountered a civilian pilot who helped us avoid dangerous weather conditions. We thank her for the assistance. We note that she was professional and skilled. Nothing more. But sir, the authentication code is old and inactive, Mitchell interrupts firmly. Just a glitch in the system. A random code that somehow authenticated. These things happen with old databases. Right? There's a pause. Then Chen's voice returns, understanding and respect clear in her tone. Right, sir. Just a glitch. Webb adds his agreement. Understood, sir. We encountered a helpful civilian. That's all. They understand. Some legends deserve to stay hidden. Some heroes don't want parades or memorials or speeches. They just want to do their work in peace, helping people who need it, living with their choices and their losses. The ghost is dead. Let her rest. But Rebecca is alive and flying and saving lives every day. And that's enough. Back at base, Mitchell files his report exactly as he said he would. A routine training flight interrupted by severe weather. Assistance from a civilian pilot who warned them about dangerous conditions. Successful navigation around the weather system. No incidents. No injuries. No problems. The report is accepted without question. It goes into a file that no one will ever read again. But that night, lying in his bunk staring at the ceiling, Mitchell can't stop thinking about Rebecca Stone. About the way she flew. The way she spoke. The way she saved their lives without asking for anything in return. He pulls out his phone and searches for information about the 2009 classified mission in Syria. There's almost nothing. Just a brief note in a military database that Colonel Rebecca Stone, decorated combat pilot with 200 confirmed missions, was killed in action during a classified rescue operation. A hero who gave her life for her country. A memorial service was held. A plaque was installed at the Air Force Academy. Except she didn't die. She just stopped being who everyone expected her to be. Mitchell reads about her career. The missions she flew. The lives she saved. The awards she earned. Distinguished Flying Cross. Purple Heart. Air Medal with 12 oak leaf clusters. She was recommended for the Medal of Honor twice. She was a legend. A genuine, real-life hero. And she walked away from all of it. Mitchell thinks about his own career path. He's being considered for a promotion. A teaching position at the fighter weapons school. It's what he's always wanted. A chance to train the next generation of pilots. A chance to be respected and admired. But what would he teach them? To be the fastest? The most aggressive? The best? Or would he teach them what Rebecca taught him today? To listen. To help. To remember why they fly. He knows the answer. He knows what he has to do. The next morning, Mitchell requests a meeting with his squadron commander. He has some ideas about updating the training program. Ideas about adding more emphasis on weather awareness, on situational awareness, on making decisions that prioritize mission success and safety over personal glory. His commander, Colonel Sarah Hayes, listens carefully. She's a veteran pilot herself, with 25 years of experience. She recognizes sincerity when she hears it. These are good ideas, Captain. Very good. Where did they come from? Mitchell chooses his words carefully. I met a pilot yesterday, ma'am. A civilian. Someone who reminded me what's important. What really matters. Anyone I should know about? I don't think so, ma'am. Just a civilian who flies medical supply runs. But one of the best pilots I've ever seen. Better than anyone I've flown with in the military. Colonel Hayes studies him for a long moment. She sees something different in his eyes. Something has changed in the young, cocky pilot who walked into her office. That must have been quite a meeting, Captain. It was life-changing, ma'am. She nods slowly. Sometimes the best teachers are the ones you meet by accident. The ones who aren't trying to teach you anything. They just show you a different way of being, and suddenly everything looks different. Yes, ma'am. Exactly. Implement your ideas, Captain. Let's see what happens. If they work as well as I think they will, we'll expand the program across the entire wing. Mitchell throws himself into the work. He changes the way he flies, the way he teaches, the way he thinks about his job. Instead of pushing his aircraft to the limit just to prove he can, he focuses on smooth, efficient flying. Instead of dominating the radio with commands, he listens more. He asks questions. He admits when he doesn't know something. His wingmen notice the change immediately. So do the instructors. Within a month, Mitchell's squadron has the best safety record on the base. Within 3 months, other squadrons are asking what they're doing differently. Mitchell shares Rebecca's lessons, though he never mentions her by name. He teaches his pilots to respect the sky, to listen to warnings, to check weather reports carefully, to put mission success and safety above personal pride. The changes spread through the training program like ripples in water. 6 months later, Mitchell is flying a routine patrol when he spots a familiar small Cessna on his radar. His heart jumps. He changes course slightly, moving closer. November 5-7-3 Bravo, this is Lightning 1. Good to see you again, ma'am. There's a pause. Then Rebecca's voice returns, warm and slightly amused. Hello again, Captain Mitchell. Staying out of trouble? Trying to, ma'am. Your lesson stuck. I've been implementing changes in our training program. Focusing more on safety and awareness. Teaching pilots to respect the sky the way you showed me. That's good to hear, Captain. The sky needs more pilots who think before they act. How's it going? Better than I could have hoped. Our accident rate is down 60%. Our pilots are more careful, more thoughtful. They're still excellent flyers, but now they're excellent for the right reasons. That's wonderful, Captain. You should be proud. It's thanks to you, ma'am. You changed my life that day. No, Captain. I just showed you a different perspective. You're the one who chose to change. You're the one doing the hard work. Don't give me credit for your own growth. Mitchell smiles inside his helmet. Where are you headed today? Same place as always. Medicine for the reservation hospital. They're having a flu outbreak. Need antibiotics and fever reducers. Mind if I tag along? From a respectful distance. There's a pause. You're not going to make this a regular thing, are you, Captain? Only when our paths cross naturally, ma'am. I promise. As long as you don't slow me down. And as long as you keep it quiet. I don't need attention. Understood, ma'am. You have my word. They fly together in comfortable silence. Mitchell matches her course, staying back just enough to give her space but close enough to help if needed. He watches her fly, still learning from every move she makes. After a while, Rebecca's voice breaks the silence. Captain, can I ask you something? Anything, ma'am. Why do you keep seeking me out? Why do you care what an old pilot thinks? Mitchell considers his answer carefully. Because you represent everything I want to be, ma'am. Not the legend. Not the combat hero. But the person you are now. Someone who flies for the right reasons. Someone who helps people without needing recognition. Someone who learned from their mistakes and became better because of them. Rebecca is quiet for a moment. When she speaks, her voice is thick with emotion. That's very kind, Captain. Thank you. It's the truth, ma'am. As they approach the Montana mountains, Rebecca's voice turns serious. Captain, I'm going to teach you something if you're interested. Consider it payment for keeping my secret. Always interested, ma'am. Always. See those mountains ahead? The reservation hospital is in a valley between two peaks. The approach is tricky. High winds, unpredictable downdrafts, narrow landing strip. It's why most pilots won't fly there. The risk isn't worth the small payment they receive. Mitchell studies his instruments. She's right. The terrain is extremely challenging. Wind patterns show significant turbulence. I'm going to talk you through it, Rebecca continues. Not because you need me to, you're a skilled pilot. But because someday you might need to teach someone else. Someday, when I'm gone, these people will still need medicine. And they'll need pilots brave enough and skilled enough to get it to them. For the next 30 minutes, Rebecca teaches Mitchell everything she knows about mountain flying. How to read the wind patterns by watching the trees and grass below. How to use the terrain to your advantage, finding channels where the wind is calmer. How to approach the landing strip from an angle that minimizes crosswind. How to stay safe when conditions are dangerous. She teaches him about the specific challenges of this particular valley. The way wind funnels through the northern pass. The sudden downdrafts near the eastern peak. The false sense of stability that can trick you right before the worst turbulence hits. Mitchell absorbs every word like a student in the best classroom of his life. He records the lesson in his mind, knowing he'll share it with other pilots. Knowing that someday, this knowledge might save lives. When they finally land, Rebecca at the reservation hospital's short dirt strip, Mitchell at a nearby military airfield, he knows he has to see her again. Face to face. Not as a fighter pilot meeting a legend, but as one person thanking another for an incredible gift. He catches a ride to the reservation hospital in a borrowed truck. He finds Rebecca unloading boxes of medicine from her Cessna, working steadily in the afternoon sun. She's a woman in her mid-50s now, with gray hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She wears jeans and a faded denim jacket. Work boots. No jewelry. Nothing about her says legendary combat pilot or military hero. Everything about her says someone who cares deeply and shows it through action. Colonel Stone, Mitchell says, walking up carefully. I hope you don't mind. She looks up and sighs, but there's a small smile on her face. Captain Mitchell. I was wondering if you'd follow me down. I'm sorry for intruding, ma'am. I needed to say thank you properly. Face to face. For everything you've taught me. For the life lessons as much as the flying lessons. Rebecca sets down a box and studies him. Her eyes are sharp, measuring, taking in every detail. Then she nods. You're welcome, Captain. But I didn't do it for thanks. I did it because you were willing to learn. Because you reminded me of myself at your age, talented, confident, and heading toward a mistake that could cost lives. You saved me from making that mistake. No. I just showed you it was possible to make. You're the one choosing a different path. A young nurse comes out of the hospital building. She waves enthusiastically at Rebecca. Rebecca. You're here. Thank goodness. We were running so low on antibiotics. 3 kids with pneumonia. We were getting desperate. Rebecca waves back, her face softening. I'm here, Maria. Got everything you need. Let's get it inside. Mitchell watches this interaction and understands something profound. This is what matters. Not the medals or the promotions or the glory. Not the legend or the stories or the reputation. Just this, a nurse relieved because medicine arrived on time. Children who will recover because someone cared enough to fly through dangerous conditions. Lives saved quietly, without fanfare, day after day. Can I help unload? Mitchell asks. Rebecca raises an eyebrow. Don't you need to get back to your base, Captain? They can wait an hour. This is more important. She smiles, and it transforms her face, showing glimpses of the younger woman she used to be. All right, Captain. Grab those boxes marked refrigerated. They need to go straight to the clinic's cold storage. They work together in comfortable silence, carrying boxes of medicine into the small hospital. Mitchell meets doctors and nurses who all know Rebecca by name. They thank her warmly, with real affection and gratitude. She brushes off their thanks with the same casual ease, uncomfortable with praise but deeply committed to the work. A small boy, maybe 7 years old, tugs on Rebecca's jacket. Miss Rebecca, did you see any eagles today? Rebecca kneels down to his level, giving him her full attention. I did, Tommy. A golden eagle, flying over the northern pass. Beautiful bird. I want to fly someday, the boy says seriously. Like you. Will you teach me? Rebecca's expression becomes gentle. If you study hard in school, and if you really want it, then yes. I'll teach you. Deal? The boy's face lights up. Deal. Mitchell watches this exchange and feels something shift in his chest. This is legacy. Not plaques or memorials, but a child inspired to reach for the sky. A future pilot learning that flying is about service, not glory. When the last box is unloaded, Rebecca walks Mitchell back toward his borrowed truck. And the Montana sun was beginning to dip lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the reservation hospital grounds. "You've got a long drive back, Captain," she said. "You should get going before dark." Mitchell hesitated. There was so much more he wanted to say, so much more he wanted to know. But he understood now that Rebecca wasn't someone who needed long conversations or grand gestures. She needed action. She needed pilots who would take her lessons and live them. "Before I go," he said carefully, "I want you to know something. What you're doing here, this matters more than any mission I've ever flown. More than any medal or promotion. The world doesn't know your name anymore, but these people do. And someday, Tommy and kids like him will fly because you inspired them." Rebecca looked away toward the mountains. "That's all I need, Captain. Just knowing that the work continues. That people understand why it matters. They will. I'll make sure of it." She turned back to him and extended her hand. "Then we're done here, Mitchell. You don't need me anymore. You know what matters now. Go teach your pilots. Go change the culture of your squadron. That's your mission now." Mitchell shook her hand firmly. "Thank you, Colonel. For everything. Safe skies, Captain." As he drove away, Mitchell watched Rebecca in his mirror, standing in front of her small Cessna, already planning her next flight, her next delivery, her next chance to help someone who needed it. The ghost wasn't a legend anymore. She was just Rebecca, a woman who chose to matter in the way that counted most. And that was enough.